season turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. The Greek word for time is chronos, and that's where we get words like chronology, chronicle, chronic, anachronism, and it means kind of this linear time, just the way that we see time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or early in the day to late at night, the seasons, the progression of time is chronos. And it's a concept that was so important to the Greeks that they had a god for it, and his name was Kronos. So the Greek depiction of Kronos as time would look similar to this, and he usually would have had a scythe with him. And interestingly enough, in the Renaissance, the idea of this Kronos god is what gave way to Father Time, who we still use today in our movies and depictions, usually on New Year's. Here, this is a New Year's baby in 1941 who is there with Father Time. And notice how he still has that scythe and he still has the wings, which is the way that he would have been depicted back in ancient Greece. The Greeks had another word for time, which is Kairos. Now, Kairos, rather than referring to the chronological order of time, it refers more to a specific moment in time that is where you have special opportunities or chances for things. The term Kairos stems from archery. And if you think of an archer shooting the arrow, then the Greeks would say it needed to go through a very specific opening or a door, and that is Kairos. So it's kind of the perfect thing at the perfect time in the perfect place. And it's interesting because the Latin term for opportunity, where we get the word opportunity, opportunus or opportunitas, is from the root word porta, which is a door. So opportunity is a door, and you might have heard the term opportunity knocks, as in it knocks at the door. And this is what Kairos is, that as opportunity knocks, there's this magical moment, and they say it only knocks once, because if you miss it or if you miss out on it, then it's gone and you don't have that opportunity anymore. So Kairos is that opportune moment at the door, knocking, that perfect time in the chronological order of time that you can say the right thing or do the right thing to make something important happen. Here's an example of Kairos. This is a book that my son Hayden wrote when he was little called My Mom. My mom is happy when I obey her. My mom laughs when she gets excited. My mom gets mad when I'm naughty. My mom is sad when I disobey her. My mom smells like toothpaste. My mom gets scared when she does not know where I am. I love my mom because she loves me no matter what happens. My mom looks funniest when she is shocked. My favorite food my mom cooks is German pancakes. My favorite thing about my mom is she is nice. My mom looks prettiest when she is dressed in her church clothes. I want to say thank you, Mom, for loving me. If I could give my mom something special, it would be love. Aw. My mom loves me when I'm nice. Dear Mom, thank you for having as your baby. I love you more than anything else. P.S. Can I quit piano? Love, Hayden. So here you go. That is Kairos. Knowing the right time to say the right thing. First you butter someone up and then you ask for the favor. This kid got it. Of course, the Greeks also had a god to personify Kairos, because Kairos was every bit as important, if not more so, than Chronos or chronological time. And when you go back and read the ancient Greek philosophies or histories, they use the word Kairos a lot. Even Homer in the Iliad would use the term Kairos to talk about the right perfect time and place to hit in war, again referring back to the archery that the word comes from. Plato also talked about the importance of Kairos, of saying the right thing at the right time. And in the Politicos, he has Socrates saying that the ideal orator is one who has a knowledge for speaking and knowing when to speak and also when to keep silent. Kairos was depicted with a little bit of hair in the front. It was said that that way when Kairos, or the opportune moment, was going by, people could grab hold of that hair. And then you'll see that in the back, Kairos is bald, because if you miss your opportunity, or if you miss that opportune moment, you can no longer grab hold of it. Now let's look at a specific example of the power of Kairos, how important it is what you say or what you don't say at a particular moment in time. After losing the presidential election to Joe Biden, President Trump started a huge campaign, basically, that claimed that he really did win the election and that it had been stolen. And for several months, he had a lot of his supporters who would get together and rally and claim that the election had been stolen. And so at the very kind of climax of this event, when right before they were about to officially declare Joe Biden as the winner, and as people were trying to certify the election in the state capitol building, there was a huge rally of Trump supporters who were getting together with signs and were just out rallying, saying we need to stop this deal. President Trump should still be in office for another term. And so here's the kind of the context of what's happening at this moment. And this is what President Trump says.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
So here he is in the middle of a huge rally where tensions are super high. And in this moment, of all the things that he chooses to say, he says, we're going to go down to the Capitol. He talks about taking back our country, like that someone else had it, that it was lost. Taking back. These are words that sound like some kind of a war. And indeed, what happens is that people do go down to the Capitol and they start a huge riot. And we end up with this unprecedented moment with people our own citizens breaking into our own Capitol and storming it and destroying it, all because of what someone in the right moment at the right time says.
And people will interpret this in different ways, but this is what the Senate chaplain said in a closing prayer. The quagmire of dysfunction that threatened our democracy and led to a loss of lives and desecration of the Capitol has reminded us that words matter. So at least he felt that what Trump said is what made the difference.
Imagine what would have happened had he said something different. Here he had this opportunity of what to say and what not to say, and this is what he chose to say.
All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing, and stolen by the fake news media. That's what they've done and what they're doing. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
Let's contrast that with what he said now a couple hours into the riot. This is on the same day, and this is what he says to them.
I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special.
Okay, so quite a different tone here. He's still talking about how the election was stolen and how it was fraudulent. However, now rather than talking about not being weak and having to be strong and taking back a country, he's saying go home. He's trying to calm them. And it's a lot different tone that he has right now than he had earlier. Okay, and then later, the next day, and now you can tell that he has a teleprompter and it's very scripted. This is what he chooses to say to the people.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power. This moment calls for healing and reconciliation. 2020 has been a challenging time for our people. A menacing pandemic has upended the lives of our citizens, isolated millions in their homes, damaged our economy, and claimed countless lives. Defeating this pandemic and rebuilding the greatest economy on earth will require all of us working together. It will require a renewed emphasis on the civic values of patriotism, faith, charity, community, and family. We must revitalize the sacred bonds of love and loyalty that bind us together as one national family.
Now imagine had he taken this final speech or even the middle speech and said that at the beginning. So in that moment when, Kairos is saying this is the moment, people are heated, they're upset, this is after months of rallying behind him, feeling like the election had been stolen. Had he calmed them down, I think things could have been very differently, because it does matter what you say at the moment. But imagine how important Kairos could be in dating situations or just in social situations with friends, how important it is to say the right thing at the right time or to not say something that could be damaging at the wrong time or at the right time for it to be very damaging. How does this tie into writing? It's the same thing. Kairos is all about context. It's about understanding your moment. It's about understanding what's going on. So to write a good paper, you need to find an issue that is current. You need to consider the opportune moment for saying the right thing, for fitting yourself into that academic conversation. Because if you don't, it's not going to have any meaning or carry any weight. Because as we mentioned earlier, opportunity, hopefully it knocks more than once, but that opportune moment really does only happen one time. So pay attention to context, pay attention to what is hot right now and what matters. So you need to find a topic that is relevant today. For example, several years ago, when Barack Obama first took office and he beat out Senator McCain, I had a student who, in that moment, as soon as Barack Obama won, he wrote his paper about how Barack Obama was able to get the youth vote out. And at that time, social media was new. This was a huge thing that people could send out tweets and that they could connect online. And so no president or presidential candidate before Barack Obama had even considered this. And so this was the perfect moment to talk about this. And he looked specifically at the internet and how the Obama campaign used that and really was able to get a lot of younger voters out to vote and get them excited about Barack Obama and what he had to offer the country. So that was one example of looking at the opportune moment. In fall of 2020, when coronavirus was big and they were shutting down schools and not allowing athletes to compete, I had several students who chose to consider that topic and look at if masks would even help and consider the importance of shutting down schools, and is it more important to keep kids in schools or to not have them in schools, and time will only tell. But in that moment, that was a really important decision that people were making, and so they understood that that opportune moment and the right time to speak. So find an issue that is relevant and that matters at the moment that you're writing it. And that's how to make your paper meaningful, and it's how to really participate in the conversation.